Let's start with the Apple stuff, because there's two main new announcements. They kind of went into press release mode. Apple's done this thing before where they had some products that were ready to be refreshed, but they weren't really enough to be their own event. So they just go one day at a time with new press releases of new products. At the time of recording, it's Wednesday, so we had yesterday MacBook Pros and new M2 chips, and today HomePod. Which should we talk about first?
I think some people think it's a press release because it was supposed to come out in November. That would follow the MacBook Pro general timeline, right?
So they did do this like YouTube 18-minute video, like pseudo event type thing for the MacBooks anyway. The HomePod was just a straight press release, just a piece, like a one-sheeter, which is kind of all it needed. But we do have some interesting things here, so I'll just go over the laptops first. So 16-inch and 14-inch MacBook Pros are now updated with the new M2 generation chips. So before they had M1 Pro and M1 Max. Now they have M2 Pro and M2 Max, which are sort of incremental improvements, bumps over the previous generations. These laptops, this is my 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro.
Prove it.
It's exactly the same as the new one, probably, but
break the embargo.
You probably can't read that, but it says Apple M1 Max in About This Mac.
I can tell that HDMI port is 2.1, just so you know. Like the internet's gonna
this is the old one. This is 2.0.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, either way.
Sure it is.
Those old machines, old in air quotes, they're 1 year old, are still amazing. So like my take on these is this isn't for people who have the M1 Pros already. This is for people who have older machines to be upgrading and now have a better option. As you mentioned, HDMI 2.1 is also new, which was kind of a head-scratching omission from the M1 Pro and M1 Max. God, these names.
I know.
The MacBook Pros before, but we get that. We also get Wi-Fi 6E.
Yes.
And a little bit of a performance boost. Up to 96 gigs of shared video memory and RAM.
For a lot of money.
For the highest end M2 Max chip.
We're very expensive.
Pretty sick.
Do we know what the maxed out
I'm
is?
looking at that
Do you want to
right
look
now.
at
Same prices, I think.
No way. For 96 gigs?
Oh, for the Max,
Yeah,
you can
'cause
go
now
up
it's gonna
higher
be-
probably. But the starting prices are the same.
Oh, yeah.
96 is what I have on my Mac Pro at my desk, which is
the
back
Mac
then it was the smaller end of RAM for the Mac Pro, which is kind of funny. But
So
no, laptop is
prior, it added $400 to go from 32 to 64 gigs of RAM, and now it adds $800 to go from 32 to 96. So it's another 400.
So if you're an absolute animal and you need 96, here's the thing: is I edit videos on this laptop. Like I am doing a lot of heavy work on this laptop, and I will not be upgrading mine. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to review it. I'm going to check it out, but I don't feel compelled for the first time in a long time to upgrade to a new piece of kit for work.
Yeah,
which is pretty sick, actually.
I'll try it for you.
Sure,
I'll take it after. yeah, I'll give it a good home.
They also get a new color matching. MagSafe.
Put it in
cable.
quotes. Put it in quotes.
Color matching. Well,
on the front.
I guess the
in
thing
middle.
is, these laptops are only in space gray and silver, so it's not as. You were mad about the power cable and what they did with it. Which why? Explain why
on the air. Well, because it's like quote unquote matching because the MagSafe aspect and the braided cable match the computer chassis.
Yeah.
But then the USB-C port on the end is white, which like on space gray looks terrible. I think it looks worse than if it was all just white.
Yeah, it looks even worse on the Air, which had like the midnight color, so it'd be like a nice dark cable, and then just like the white plastic on the end.
Yeah,
which looked dumb.
I will say the white cables that everyone got with the last year's models, they get dirty really easily, so they look kind of yellowed pretty easily because they're braided and they just get dirty. Yeah. And it would be nice to have a different colored cable. However, it is just a cable. Functionally, I do not care.
You don't like that patina?
Speaking of cables and functionalities, does anyone know what the difference is between HDMI 2.0 and 2.1?
Yes,
How dare you even ask
how you ask, Adam?
This is a tech podcast.
You should have used this for trivia because I do know.
I just wanted to explain it for the audience.
Oh, I was okay.
No, it's
it
fine.
was a setup.
You can if you want.
It was a setup.
Are you going to explain it?
No, you explain it.
Oh, me?
No, you explain it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Trivia.
I don't know what the difference is. Legitimately.
HDMI 2 got 18 gigabits per second of pass through, whereas 2.1 I believe is
quarter of that.
40, way more. 48 gigabits per second of pass through.
Oh, yeah, 2.1.
It also, as Ellis taught me a couple days ago, has what is the audio term for this?
EARC.
Can you explain this?
Oh, HDMI. Isn't that just syncing?
No,
I'll have you
it's
explain
pretty cool. So like, typically an HDMI cable is one of those cables that you plug it into an out jack and you plug it into an in jack, and it's not necessarily like bi-directional in any way. But let's say, hypothetically, you have a setup where you have a game console plugged in to a like stereo receiver, and then you have that stereo receiver plugged into your TV. But you have a smart TV.
Yeah.
So when you're playing games, you're sending audio from your game console to your stereo, then from your stereo to your speakers, right? But when you're streaming, the audio needs to go the other way. The audio goes from your smart TV to your stereo and you're not going to go HDMI out of your TV into your stereo. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So eARC adds an audio return channel going the opposite direction on the HDMI cable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sonos
Specifically-
people have had to deal with this for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2.1 also adds support for variable refresh rate displays, which is nice. I'm not actually completely sure if that means like, because the MacBook Pro is variable refresh rate. Yep. It goes up to 120. I don't know if that means it'll just like mirror it if you have a VFR like separate monitor. I'm not totally certain about that. But it can also carry 4K at 120 hertz, which is
8K 60 if you want.
and 8K 60.
8K 60 through one cable.
Yeah. So if you have an 8K monitor and you're playing 8K content on your MacBook, I think that means it could.
8K content out from the
out,
HDMI.
out.
Yeah.
Marques, that's not worth it for you?
Well, I don't use HDMI.
I just
All our
the thing
8K
for me
mods.
is that it should have been there last year.
Yeah.
And so it's just good they're adding it. And then also Wi-Fi 6E, because there's all of these Wi-Fi 6E routers that are starting to come out now.
It's funny,
and
that's
we even
the-
have Wi-Fi 7 now.
That's the one thing that I did kind of think about. I mean, the Wi-Fi is great. I go home and I get like the best speeds on this computer out of any other device on my Wi-Fi network.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
6E. But whatever.
Yeah,
it's
like
fine.
I just bought a Nest Wi-Fi Pro, and that is specifically is a 6E router. It's one of the first 6E routers, and it would just be nice if like the computer.
we just upgraded the studio here to Wi-Fi 6E.
Yeah,
routers.
yeah.
So glad we have 60 for the like 30 down we get from the internet for ISP. Yeah,
Probably
it's so
address
much
that
fun.
first.
I'm not gonna buy a new MacBook just to get Wi-Fi 6E. I'm just saying it's great for the people that are buying new MacBooks.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the last time Marques said you weren't going to get something, we then had a plaid like 3 weeks later.
That's not the last. I've been very good. I said I was going to get a Matte Black trash can and I didn't buy it.
I just remember
didn't buy
getting a Slack message in like the random chat with Marques just saying, "Okay, guys, hear me out," and I just knew, I knew what was about to happen.
Speaking of things Marques has said in the past, while we're on the subject, I do have a little link here in the doc from something that you said the last MacBooks that came out. And I think there's a little promise you're going to have to keep good on. Can we play the audio?
Paying attention to what's on the screen, it disappears even more than it did on the smaller screen of the phones. But that being said, if the next version of this laptop still has a notch this big and doesn't add Face ID, I'll wear socks and sandals for a day, like Linus. Like they gotta be planning on putting it there eventually, right? It almost
Do you
feels
remember
useless
that?
to talk about how.
It's not that big.
Have
of a
you not been
deal.
getting tagged in this like a million? I've gotten multiple tags on Twitter and Reddit about this.
I've gotten
It's-
tagged about this.
What to be fair, since Tweetbot and Flamingo died, I have not been on top of my mentions.
You're
like I
having a
usually
rough
am.
day, it
Yeah, I
sounds.
lost my favorite apps for keeping track of these things. No, I think. Well, okay. I guess my question is: does this count as the next
Yes.
version of this? Because it's basically just it's a chip bump in the same laptop.
Yeah,
Like
but they added other stuff too.
they added HDMI 2.1 and they added Wi-Fi 6E.
And they
so-
got an extra hour of extra battery life. And they're not going to refresh the chassis of this until like the M4, I would guess.
I guess that's kind of what I'm. Maybe
Yeah, what?
I'm just trying to weasel my way out of this.
It's not that big of a deal to wear
Because like
sandals. for a day.
I'd fine.
With socks?
Come to
I
California.
said for a day
for a day. I think that's a bold. You were
I think you should
pretty
have
sure
ate a
about
sandal
in the
to be
winter.
honest.
I don't think I considered it would be winter.
That would be more.
that. That's a fair point.
I have a
also.
compromise.
winter.
What if you can double or nothing? So when they do change the whole design, if there's still no Face ID, then you have to wear Crocs.
Yeah, if there's a
for a week.
For a week.
Crocs,
Double or nothing.
I was gonna not let him get out of this. Double or nothing.
That is-
Crocs for a week.
I don't think I want to take. I think my logic behind this was like, if you look at this notch and obviously all the technologies Apple typically puts inside of a large notch is like all the Face ID stuff. And this gigantic notch in this laptop only has a webcam and like the ambient light sensor and like maybe the microphone, and that's it. And I was like, okay, they're clearly going to do more. They're going to like, start doing notches across the whole, all their lineups. They're going to do notches and all these things, and they want to add Face ID at the same time, get us used to it. But I just can't believe. Face ID. Yeah, they're clearly going to. There's no way they just did this huge notch, which is so unsightly just for the webcam.
Yeah. There is a cool Mac app though called Hand Mirror, where if you bring your cursor underneath the notch and click, it brings up like a little video preview of what your camera sees. So if you need like a quick,
that's kinda cool.
you have to click behind the notch, so it's not just accidentally swiping by it.
Just catch a glimpse of yourself.
Yeah. So if you just like need a quick, and they're decent webcams.
Does anyone know if there's a Windows app of that? Because there are some times where I'm just like, I kind of wish I could see myself in my webcam real quick without having to like open up OBS or some.
Why would you want that?
You never know.
I don't
man.
check your hair before a podcast.
Yeah. Or if you.
I don't know. Everyone just thought it was cool when it was on the MacBook, but now it's Windows and it's terrible. Yeah. Wow.
Notch,
Yeah.
man. It's the notch.
It'd be cool if you could ask Siri. It'd be like, yo, Siri, do I look okay today? And
There-
Siri's like, yeah.
There are times I want to make sure the webcam's like plugged in and working and everything,
Yeah,
or
before a
like
call.
not dirty before a call. Yeah.
Yeah, typically I just like open QuickTime but that's convenient.
I usually want to check if I'm dirty before a call. That's why I
and
would
I
use
need
it.
my digital webcam to confirm that.
Yeah,
for me.
I can't see myself without it.
Fair. Well, I mean, new laptop, it's got the notch. I'll
Wear
figure
sandals.
out. I do not want the Crocs bet looming over my head, so I will find a way. That's not the only new machine though. There is also maybe a more interesting machine, which is the new Mac Mini, which got me thinking a lot about the poor iMac, the M1 iMac that's just kind of been like sitting unupdated for a while, and we have a new M2 chip, but they haven't put it in the Mac yet. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
But the Mac Mini, which had an M1 and an M1 Pro, now has an M2 and an M2 Pro.
I don't think it had M1 Pro, did it?
Or sorry, yeah, it didn't even
have M1
It just
Pros.
had M1, just had the Apple Silicon M1 Mac Mini.
Yeah.
God, these names. Okay.
I know.
So now we have the Mac Mini with M2 and the Mac Mini with M2 Pro, which is nice. It's a little higher end. No Ultra. That's of course for the Studio.
The
which
Studio
is why
comes with the Pro and the Mac, or for the Max and the Ultra.
Yeah.
the Mac Studio has the Max and the Ultra.
yeah.
Which is why we don't have a new Mac Studio, because there's no M2 Ultra yet.
Yeah.
But we do have like I thought all the base M2 stuff would be done. Like the M2 iPad is out. The M2, everything else is out. Why is there no M2 iMac? What?
I
Did
think
they forget about the iMac?
I think they've got leftover M1 chips left, and they just need to put them somewhere. And people that buy all-in-one computers are not the people that like if you pick up a Mac Mini or like a Mac Studio, you're choosing your own display, which means you kind of care about your peripherals. So that means that is an indicator that you're more of a professional. But if you buy an M1 iMac, you're probably using it as like a family computer or something basic. So those people most likely don't really care about that like 30% GPU bump or whatever.
True, except same with iPad.
Well, okay, iPad is just
Like, why?
unnecessary in every way.
Yeah,
although they
M2.
they have Resolve on it now.
Yeah, I figured they ship a lot more. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I think they ship more iPads than they do iMacs.
I'm sure.
Oh, almost definitely.
So if they really wanted to get rid of M1 chips, just put them in all the iPads.
They still are like fire selling the M1 iPads all the time.
True.
Yeah, I think they're still trying to get rid of them, but for leftover M1 chips in general, I would bet you they're putting them in M1 iMacs. Plus, they come in a lot of fun colors. You can put them kind of anywhere.
Yeah.
They could move a lot of units.
Look, these are going to be good computers, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we're going to test them. We'll have reviews when they're ready, but I feel like my initial reaction is like, wow, these M1 machines, if you can get a discount on them, are still amazing. Like this is very rare. Everyone I've talked to who I've recommended get one of these M1 Pro or M1 Max MacBook Pros loves the thing. If you can find one on a discount, I highly recommend it. It's going to get software updates the same way the M2 does. Like, I don't see any downside. So unless you need HDMI 2.1 or Wi-Fi 6E, keep an eye out for those discounts, because that's going to be good.
A $600 M2 Mac Mini that is like kind of the most interesting to me.
Sneaky great deal.
That feels like there's some very niche people out there that probably are like, oh my goodness, that's a killer price.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for watching this clip. Really glad you were able to stick with us this week. Also, feel free to use your 1 thumbs up rating you're allowed to give on YouTube every month and use it on this video. It's like a review that you give the clip. I think it's pretty sick. You're only allowed to give 1, I heard, per month. Have they blinked yet? It's weird.
They have blinked.
Shut up.
I heard that if you think about blinking, it helps you not blink.
You blinked.
I know.